Let's talk about economic development. One thing that was made final. It's not exactly new news, but the Eastern Wood Facility investing 18.7 million in the old Peerless Milliken plant in Belton, 31 jobs. It's been a long time since there's been any new manufacturing or anything open in Belton, right?
It's been a long time, and ever since Wells Aluminum and what it was called after that closed up. But they are there. They're under construction now, and we have some more people that are looking in the Belton area in existing industrial spaces. So it wouldn't be new groundbreaking, but hopefully something good's going to come out of that because we've got some interest down there.
Was the railroad an important factor?
Railroad was the determining factor. And one of the things that we don't have a lot of in Anderson County are rail sites. And that was a rail site because it was the site of an old Milliken plant. So it met their needs perfectly, and it's going to help Belton, and we expect that business just to continue to grow and add more and more jobs. So we're very happy that it went there.
And there's some more room around that railroad right there too.
Yes.
Is that another place that people are looking at, or?
There and back up, but all of it is an existing industrial area. So we're happy about that. Put some of that stuff back to work.
You and I talked about the new Isuzu plant that's in Piedmont. It's across the county line, but it's bringing 700 jobs and a massive investment. How will that help Anderson County?
We have a lot of people that are automotive suppliers, so I'm sure that some of our automotive suppliers will be supplying that plant. I also know a lot of those people that are going to work there are going to be moving in our area, whether they're on the Greenville side or the Anderson side. But that's a good lick, so we're happy to see that. It's in Greenville County, but it's going to be good for Anderson County.
And Piedmont seems to really be blowing up there.
I think the downtown Piedmont section, the whole area of Piedmont, they have a very large group of people who are interested in doing everything they can for Piedmont, and they do something just about every weekend. They've restored the old museum, the old house, and turned it into a museum. We've been assisting them with cleaning up the dam. As you know, the county purchased land to put a park there, which we have finally awarded that, and hopefully we're going to get started on building that park here very quickly. And Piedmont's blowing up, and the old part of Piedmont, the downtown area, has all the potential in the world, and a lot of people have talked about doing something with it, but I think this increased activity is going to spur that. And I've heard it referred to as potential traveler's rest, except the river would be the focus and not the bike path. So anything and everything that the county can do to support that, we are doing that.
And the nature trail, nature park up there as well.
Yes, absolutely, which has just been let out, and we've selected a contractor to do that. So that is going to start very quickly, clearing that out.
People who don't know about that, Rusty, I think we've mentioned it. Somebody asked me about it. Tell them what that is, because that's something different than anything else we've seen.
Well, it's 31 acres that the county purchased, and it's right there on the river, and it's relatively undisturbed, and we're going to develop it to be relatively undisturbed. We will put an existing road, increase that so we can put a handicap kayak launch down there. And so people will be able to go from Dolly Cooper, and instead of in the old days when we had to go crawl up the dam to get out and that, we will have a place to get out on that park. So we're excited about that and really hope that that moves along at a rapid speed.
Any other major economic development announcements imminent?
We have several. They're of the smaller variety, and they're looking in all sections of the county. Nothing ready to announce yet, but a lot of good activity, and we're excited about that. The last lot in Alliance Park has been sold, and a building will be constructed on there. It's titled as a spec building, but I have a sneaking suspicion that it's going to be filled with an industry very soon. A whole lot of good things are going up in that part of the world. 81 and 85 yesterday. We finally received the final piece of money we need to upgrade that intersection at 81 and 85. We were able to secure almost $10 million grant, and then TTI, off the top of my head, put in $800,000. And The local transportation committee voted yesterday to give us the final $400,000 to complete the engineering. So we're hoping that's going to take some of the stress off of that intersection. But again, we piece this together and piece this together and piece this together. So we're very appreciative to those people, Senator Cash and others who helped us achieve that.
That's been a major need for quite a while. That's a very short ramp they're going to do.
Very short ramp. We're going to take some of that traffic off of that ramp. We're going to fix that ramp, but actually cut a new road. And that's going to help that area tremendously because there's a lot of activity going up right around that area at 81 and 85, a whole lot.
Well, and talking about roads, I'll skip ahead here. There's a transportation meeting tonight in Pendleton about the transportation area. There's the county's working to put together this commission to do a new referendum for the fall to ask for.
There's a meeting at Friendship Fire Department tonight, Tuesday night, on the comprehensive plan, which is open to any and all members of the public. That's at Friendship Fire Department tonight. Tomorrow night here at the historic courthouse, we're going to have another. It's not really a council meeting. It's more like a town hall. It's not structured like a council meeting. So it's give and take between the council and those citizens who wish to attend to ask questions in a loose environment, not in a structured environment. One took place last week. This will be another one. They'll be discussing things like the Lexington plan, which a lot of people seem to be interested in what that means. They'll be talking about that. Talking about various and sundry things to do with land use, touching on some other ordinances that have already had a reading, but tightening those up even more from the first to the second reading. So a lot of things going on in the land use area right now.
Talking about this land use thing, it's a little confusing because there's already something in place that any subdivision over a certain size has to come before council anyway, right?
Yeah, but
It's already
so
in
you
place.
have, but one thing that's confusing, you have parts of Anderson County that are zoned and some parts that aren't zoned. So council's looking at ways to do more protection in the unzoned areas and add to the protection in the zoned areas. You know, Planning Commission meets every month, and lately they've been turning down, you know, subdivisions that don't meet the criteria of what they feel would be appropriate for Anderson County. So council's just trying to give them more tools so they can be more effective and make it clearer to the public on how this operates. Again, tomorrow night's a case in point on that.
And some of this is an outgrowth of annexation stuff, right? I mean, they're worried about,
Well,
because
well,
Councilman Wilson was worried about the annexation of her land and the runoff and the problems.
well, annexation, cities can annex if the land is contiguous. And if somebody who owns that land says, I want to come into a town, whether it's the city of Anderson or Williamston or Pelzer or West Pelzer or Pendleton, if the town wants them, they can accept them in. And then they fall under the rules, the jurisdiction of the town, not the county anymore. Because some of our zoning measures are different from what you find in some of the towns. So,
But there has to be a certain percentage of landowners that say we want to be.
well, if I owned 500 acres of land, which I don't, and I was beside a city and I wanted to annex, then it would require my signature. That's it.
That brings to mind the city has a new plan that really calls for a lot of development on the East-West Parkway, which was never, the original parkway was never going to be developed.
County Council, when the East-West Parkway was an idea, a thought, not even completed, is that County Council made the ordinance where a supermajority would be required for the county to change any land use on that property. And a majority is 4, supermajority you get to 5, because the County Council never wants the parkway to be touched in any way, shape, or form. That was the original idea. The county maintains the parkway. That's the county's expense to do that. That was part of the deal. And I don't know of anybody who wants anything on that parkway. Nobody.
But it's in the cities now, their new plan, it has retail and resident, all kinds of development.
But I can assure you that Anderson County, the council, I feel confident in saying that they don't want any development on the East-West Parkway.
But if the land's annexed, there's nothing to do about it, right?
No,
And that's where the annexation issues come in.
correct.
Now, at the last meeting, the county attorney said he was going to look into the legality of individual council districts being able to vote for this. Is that still in the flux? We don't know.
Yeah, still looking into that. Yep.
But you and I talked about earlier, Rusty, there is still a path that people tend to forget to zoning. If you live in a neighborhood with a lot of people who say, we want to protect our area, they can petition for zoning, right?
They can. There was an area in Councilman Sanders' area, and those people got together, and I think it took them from start to finish, it's off the top of my head, about 3 months. But they were highly organized, knew exactly what they wanted to do, followed every step, hit every mark, and now they're zoned, and they have that protection.
So,
But it has to originate from the grassroots level. They have to ask for it, a petition, then there's a vote just in that area, and if it passes, then it's zoned. And what's it zoned as? Then our planning group gets together with those people and what do you think goes here? What do you think goes here? What do you think goes here? And it gives you a level of protection that you don't have in unincorporated or unzoned areas is a better way to put it.
do you expect more groups to kind of embrace that?
We hear from them a lot of times, and anything we can do, we will go speak to them. We can't advocate for what you do, but if you ask us to come tell you how the steps are and exactly what would happen, we will go day or night, Saturday, Sunday, makes no difference. And we've done it on Saturday and Sunday.
And this is all an outgrowth of when home rule kicked in, not having countywide zoning. I mean, they just didn't want to do it then. It was kind of like, don't tell me what to do with my property.
There's a state planning act that controls how everything is done regarding land use. And home rule's always been, well, you got some home rule, but you don't really have home rule. Here's a building, you're going to pay to maintain it. How do you like that? So,
yeah, the county has a lot of those, right?
DSS building is one. The courthouse, the new courthouse, which is 33 years old now, and a lot of those buildings that the county is tasked with keeping up and housing a state agency. So,
and not always funded.
No.
Yeah. Another major move, speaking of land use, was the county transferred 24 properties owned and maintained by the county to local groups to provide affordable housing and transitional housing for those who are without a place to live. This has been in the pipeline a while. Remind people how this is funded and how we got to this place.
We applied for a huge grant to remove derelict properties that could not be rehabbed, could not be saved. And so we did this all across the county and in every town. And in some cases, we've turned it back over to the towns for them to develop it as they see fit for houses. And we have 14 in the county that we maintain, we cut the grass and do everything. But the council is going to give these properties back to these individual organizations, Habitat, several other groups.
Housing Alliance,
Hope Missions, so they can put infill. This is not one big tract of property. It is individual lots, not necessarily in the same place. They make perfect places for infill housing, low to moderate income housing, and the beauty part of it is most of these, if not all, are already on water and sewer lines. So you don't have that expense. You don't have the expense of demolition, which we did using a federal grant program. So you really have a pretty nice building lot that you can get in relatively inexpensive and take off from there.
And it's really good for these neighborhoods to have new construction.
Well, I mean, if you will ride on what people call the ABC streets, you will see the benefits of infill going over in that area. And we are delighted about it. And this is going to provide more opportunities for that. So we're very excited about that.
And these builders should qualify for this new $10,000 state grant for low-income housing.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, that, and then the transition.
And you have some builders in Anderson right now that seek out these lots. They're not looking to build a subdivision. They're not looking to build duplexes. They seek out these lots, and they put very nice houses on them. And so you're seeing that all around the county, really. So any way we can encourage that, we will.
And the Hope Village idea over on the old Toxaway Mill, Riverside Mill site, that's important for that area because it's pretty blighted as well.
But what we're talking about is houses. We're not talking about anything. We're talking about houses for people to live in.
Right.
We had to clean up that filthy area over there, and parts of it will still always be restricted because of what took place there.
We don't even know.
We don't even know, but we know we've capped it and we've done everything EPA says, but you can't build on it.
And that the area, the need continues to grow. I know you recently spoke to a group here in town, and then Thursday night there's the debut of that movie about homeless issues. Mm-hmm. What else is the county doing, and what else needs to be done as a community as we move forward on this?
Well, I know that there's several groups that are looking to come up with a plan on what to do about the homeless situation, not only in the city of Anderson, but Anderson County as a whole. You know, there's a lot of things that we're doing right now. I've said this for the last 4 times we've talked. Hope Missions has actually put about 170 people in houses and continuing that mission to put people in houses. You've got some people who are not going to go to houses and not necessarily from here. And so providing a place for people to stay. You imagine, and if I've said this before, I apologize, but if your Social Security check's $1,500 a month, there's a housing shortage in Anderson County. I'm not saying that. Everybody else says that. And so that drives rent up, okay?
That's some of the highest rent in the country.
Rent is very high. It's real high everywhere. But if the average rent in Anderson County is around $1,100, $1,200, and your Social Security check's $1,500, odds are there's a good chance you might be homeless. But one of the ways we're doing this is we are working with Rebuild Upstate. We've received grant money from Rebuild Upstate to go into some of these older homes that people live in and put a roof on them, fix up the heating and air conditioning, restore them to habitable buildings. That does one thing. It preserves housing stock. But some of these houses, these people would have to leave because they couldn't maintain them. Now they can stay in those houses and continue to live there because all of the repairs have been made. And again, this is from a federal grant that was there, so we took advantage of it, and we're doing that big time.
And a lot of these groups are being a part of a solution that they're still facing some opposition from people. I guess that's the way the world works, huh?
I guess that's the way the world
But
works.
I know even like the Salvation Army, the people that stay overnight, it's the only overnight really permanent facility. Hope Missions has breakfast. They keep people off the streets until the library's open so they can go somewhere warm or cool. And that was, again, one of the things I think Faith Line's idea was to, say all citizens are welcome here if they behave.
Everybody's welcome if they behave. Absolutely.
They're all citizens. Since the last time we met, council approved plans for Anderson County Sheriff's Office to have a substation and an EMS location at the Prism property in Piedmont.
Correct.
Where are we on that plan? Why is that so important?
I believe sometime in March that facility is going to open. We won't be there right that very day, but it gives us a permanent physical location in the Piedmont-Powdersville area. And I know the sheriff's office is excited about it, and I know from the paramedic standpoint, we're excited about it. We're still going to have locations, the Wren Fire Department and other places up there. But as that area has grown and there's a demand for those services and they need to be there, and there needs to be a permanent physical location where I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go see if I see a deputy ride by. I'm going to go over here. So we think it's going to be a big improvement for that area.
And it's like, I was talking to a former trooper that said that area is, because of no incorporated towns and no police, it's difficult to cover that area.
It is difficult because it's a large urban area now, but it's not incorporated.
But they also didn't they add like a gas?
We have a gas fueling facility at Dolly Cooper Park, which helped them because they didn't have to make such long drives or go to the local gas station. And so what that does, that actually does 2 things. It makes it easier on the deputies in that area, but it also puts a police presence in Dolly Cooper Park. So we're very happy about that.
Back to roads, we didn't quite finish that. The commission that's being put together now to look at November referendum, where are we on that commission, and remind people who else?
Well, council hasn't had first reading on that. There's still some discussion, probably in the next month or so, but a meeting was held with the city, and the city was on board about participating in it, and then other cities will be reached out to, and then that's kind of where it is right now, still in the embryonic stage, so that's where that is.
Well, I know people told me they're tired of hearing me talk about it, but with more than 1,500 miles of roads and a full third of them are either failed or failing, and then another third of our bridges you can't cross with a fire truck or a school bus, funds have got to come from somewhere for the roads.
They have to come from somewhere, and I think council wants to give the people the opportunity to decide whether they want it to come in that fashion.
Well, as we sit here in this building, we can see scaffolding around us here.
Oh, you haven't seen anything yet. As you notice, the scaffolding has gotten taller, and it is going to go all the way to the top of the courthouse, a place where I will never go up on the scaffolding. But that's taking place, and the work's progressing very well. When we can get things done The weather's caused a whole lot of construction delays, not just for us, for everything. But we're excited about that. But we're also excited and in the embryonic stage of celebrating Anderson County's 200th birthday. Now, Anderson County already has, like every other county in the state of South Carolina, the 250 committee. But this is 200 years that Anderson County has been in existence. So Beverly Childs at the museum is working to put a book together celebrating the 200 years of Anderson County, and we're in the planning stages. Huh?
A lot of local folks.
A lot of local folks wrote for that, yeah. And it's going to be locally focused. And we're also looking together at some other things that we're going to do, and we're open for suggestions on how to celebrate 200 years. And we want everybody to be involved in it, but more on that later.
But that's more imminent than you think when we're in.
Very more imminent than you think.
We're going to do it at the actual incorporation date?
I think that would make sense.
Yeah. Any other major construction updates or projects around the county?
You can ride by the jail and see it almost grow on a daily basis. And if the weather would cooperate, I think tomorrow is Wednesday, they should be doing the final sod and beautification work on the playground at the airport. And if it ever quits raining, we'll be able to finish Kid Venture. And those are in the works. We've already discussed the park in Piedmont. We have applied for grants on several parks all around the county. We met with Senator Cash yesterday on several parks in his area, in the Pendleton area. And so a whole lot of things that we're putting together to improve recreation in the county. Really excited about a lot of the things the city is doing in terms of recreation, and it's just good. Everything's going really good in terms of recreation, but we can always use more. I mean, we get calls every day from more pickleball courts. I certainly hope pickleball lasts a long time.
That's what I was thinking. What's next? I guess somebody will come along and figure out something that you can do.
I don't know, but I mean, those people are rabid.
And talking about recreation, this year there's going to be an even bigger. It's going to be Rhythm on the River and the Saluda River Rally in one big event in the first weekend.
As a matter of fact, we have people in Powdersville right now working on Rhythm on the River / Saluda River Rally right now, because we work with the Powdersville Business Group up there very closely, and that meeting's taking place right now. But we're also we have people in Pelzer today working on cleaning up the old Pelzer Mill, so that meeting is going on today. So all kinds of stuff, and we're still picking up debris as hard and as fast as we can.
Speaking of the Pelzer Mill site, how long will it take the county to really come up with a comprehensive plan for?
What I would really like, some money that we have secured, that we could use that to do a plan and have an outside professional group come in and do that. And it would have to be done, because we want the people in Pelzer to say what's going to happen there. Not, hey, I think that this is a good idea. It has to be organic. And there's a lot of good property over there. I think I mentioned this before, but 10 miles away from Pelzer, they're fixing to put in Greenville County, a huge, massive, zillion-dollar golf resort community over there. All of that's going to trickle down there. Piedmont, I've been saying it for 10 years. That Piedmont, Pelzer, West Pelzer, all down that river, I mean, it's fixing to go. We want to make sure the river's protected, and we want to make sure that it's done correctly.
Well, you and I have talked about it, and Matt Shell and I have talked about it. A river is not something you can create.
No. We had one councilman, dear councilman, he said, Rusty, you need to figure out how we can get a river to run through downtown Anderson. We never could figure that out. But anyway, and if you look at the Saluda River, it is absolutely amazing what is going on in the Anderson County section. But go all the way down and see how the city of Columbia is taking advantage of the Saluda River. There's an article yesterday in the state newspaper about it. So it has to be protected. It needs to be even cleaner than it is now. So we're really excited about the future of that.
How about the Equinox Mill property? Where are we at?
Equinox Mill property is very happy to see that the city on the Townsend Mill, which is close to there, they were going to give them textile mill credits, and Equinox is still where it is, but we're going to begin some cleanup efforts over there in about 2 or 3 months.
And that has the potential really for doing as much for the city as it does for the county. I mean, it really makes the city a bigger housing and retail. And
anything that's usually, I think is good for all of us.
And you mentioned Green Pond. Anything new out there? When's the next phase upgrade going to begin?
That's probably a year away, because the next
That's
phase,
for a new ramp, right?
that's a new ramp. But when that happens, we will have to close the facility. And right now, we have too much activity going on to close that facility right now.
Anything else going on in Anderson I didn't ask you
I
about?
think we're good.